What a lovely night for some rain. You know, after a long day of experiments, I think it's time I unwind a little bit. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, I haven't checked in on one of my projects in a little while. Computer,
Yes.
please relay all current data from Project Pike. I would like to know how our little squid has been doing during his time in the Bay of Bengal. Has he taken out Vex yet?
Negative.
I see. So I assume Pike fell during his battle with Vex then.
Negative. Subject Pike is still present. Vital signs are adequate.
That's odd. My calculations at the time suggested that a battle would have been inevitable. No matter. Have the kindred depart to the Bay of Bengal tomorrow. Continue tracking Vex and take measures to herd her towards Pike. After all, our patron does need his data.
Request cannot be completed.
Oh? And why is that?
The target known as Vex is no longer in the Bay of Bengal. No longer.
Oh. Welcome, my deep-sea deviants, my sea monster magisters. My name is Dreadmir, and welcome to my little clinic. Today, there has been a slight shift in plans. Today was meant to be a sort of follow-up to our previous report regarding Project Pike, the sea hybrid that I had sent to the Bay of Bengal to challenge Goji Guy's very own Vex. However, due to whatever unseen forces, Vex is now in the Baltic Sea beyond Pike's reach, making such a battle impossible. But do not fret. I promised my patron data, and I assure you I will deliver. As you may or may not know, many other like-minded geneticists sent hybrids to the Bay of Bengal to challenge Vex for the same purpose, to what I imagine must have been Vex's very real surprise. Now that she's gone, we'll have to make do with what we have. And thus, I have decided to continue our experiment with a new set of subjects. I have sent my kin out to procure 5 different hybrids from the area so that they may challenge Pike, and we'll see how things go from there. To see how the Crystal Archfiend manages against creatures not too dissimilar from himself. Once I have selected my hybrids, we will begin the process of collecting them. Though this could take some time due to the nature of the ocean, its depths, as well as the... Oh, one moment, please. Yes. Already? Really? How could you find... What do you mean? Check the feed. Alright, I'm checking the feed now, although I don't really see why I need to... Oh. Well, in that case, let's pick, these. These will do. Well then, let's continue. Of the seemingly extremely numerous hybrids in the Bay of Bengal, these will be the 4 to face Pike. Hydractis, Baku Industries' sea drifter of unimaginable venom. Scylla, Creature Archives' deep-sea taser-tentacled bruiser. Kamikaze, Zane Reborn's spiked squid survivor. Vlad, Cheese Chance sail-skewering savage. And of course, Pike, the Crystal Archfiend, assassin, trickster, emperor of the deep. It's time to find out who will swim and who will sink. A more in-depth analysis has already been done by each creature's respective creators. If you would like more details on each creature, I highly suggest you view their videos. But I will do a brief overview for each one. Let's begin with our first combatant, Hydractis.
And you have a right to refuse his order, and I guarantee you're gonna die if you touch me, and there's no afterlife. Everything just goes black. Don't do it. Whoa, Rick!
Okay.
Hydractini Dominar, also known as the King of Hydrozoans. This venomous sea-drifting nuke of a creature hails from the labs of Baku Industries. Bell length 4 meters, weight 600 plus kilograms, length 121 meters, longer than a football field. Hydractis drifts into our arena like a forgotten depth charge, with a simple plan in mind: sacrifice all complexity to become one of the most venomous creatures to ever live. While it may have sacrificed the complexities of, everything, it is a jellyfish after all. Who needs a jaw or a set of fins, or even a mind, when you can end the fight with just one touch? Combining components of the box jellyfish, zoanthid coral, the sun anemone, and the mauve stinger jellyfish, this venomous cocktail was perfectly tailored to bypass and disrupt a number of Vex's defenses, leading to a watery grave. Though, if I'm being frank, I doubt anything in the ocean could withstand a shot this strong, especially when the target is softened up by the enzymes of the glass anemone before reinforced nematocytes, courtesy of the common kingslayer, punch through. Regardless of size, components from the Portuguese man-o-war ensure that the venom will circulate quickly. Worse yet, thanks to the lion's mane jellyfish, a mucus along the tentacles will mean that anything caught is unlikely to be stung just once. As they get caught in their tentacles, the venom will have plenty of time to make contact. After all, what does Hydractis have but time? Because with the immortal jellyfish, it cannot die. Well, not exactly. Considering it's made of essentially water and flesh, its defenses are rather pitiful. But due to its sheer size and length, it would be difficult for any combatant to truly get rid of Hydractis. Though, in the event that Hydractis does somehow fall, the immortal jellyfish components will allow Hydractis to reform itself, reborn as one of its younger development stages, before growing back into its original form, ready to re-begin, one little accident at a time. For our next combatant, let's change the pace a little bit.
How you been, man?
Not bad, actually. I found this crazy bag for swimming.
Acutanasis, the sharp nose, but you might better know them as Vlad. At 45 feet and 7 tons, Vlad comes charging in at 42 miles an hour like a muscle-bound torpedo, created by the devilish mind of Cheese Chad 2. With him, he carries the traits of the Black Marlin, Barracuda, Shonisaurus, Moray Eel, Snakehead, Bass, Arapaima, and Sturgeon, all sculpted into this streamlined juggernaut of speed and power. Its streamlined body, perfect for cutting through the water. Its scaled hide is armored with bony plates, spines, and some of the thickest scales you can find on the planet, providing a solid defense as Vlad bursts through the water, attacking with a series of stabs and slashes from its sword-like nose, blunt strikes off its rock-hard body, and of course, we can't forget to include a bite force of nearly 20,000 psi, capable of crushing through bone and armor alike, all while a second pair of jaws, courtesy of the moray eel, secure its grip, ensuring its prey will never escape. With power and speed like that, Vlad is unavoidable and unstoppable. Or at least we'll see.
Echoes from the deep.
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
Next up on our list is the shell-shocking deep-sea terror, known as Scylla, product of the Creature Archives facilities. Weighing in at an estimated 1.5 to 2 tons at a length of nearly 45 feet. This deep-sea titan brings to this fight giant crushing tentacles with an unbreakable grip, agonizing venom, and an electrical pulse that'll fry any fish within range, all while housed within an armored shell, inherited from Camarasaurus and reinforced with the durable properties of one of the ocean's greatest champions, the limpet. Not only does the shell do wonders to protect all those squishy insides, but special chambers aid with buoyancy, allowing Scylla to dive, rise, and move more efficiently through the water, despite its great size. Courtesy of the colossal squid, Scylla comes armed with 10 tentacles, all aiming to grasp and crush their foes, with piercing hooks and limpet enzyme-enhanced suckers, ensuring a truly Herculean grip. And while seemingly unarmored, any foe looking to take a bite out of a tentacle will find a nasty, agonizing surprise, as the venomous properties of the box jellyfish line Scylla's flesh. Of course, Scylla brings both mind and muscle to this fight, with intelligence from the giant Pacific octopus. Able to study its foes and its environment, this deep-sea giant can adapt to its situation, form new strategies, and make the best use of its full arsenal, including its final trick. If you hadn't picked up by now, Scylla can generate electricity in the ends of its tentacles for an electrical pulse, either for a shocking assault or a sudden defense, courtesy of its final contributor, the electric eel. The last thing her prey feels, their body crushed and numb, would be the crunch of bone as her beak pierces into their body, as she drags you down, down, down. Next up on our list is Zane Reborn 2's very own spiked cephalopod, Architeuthis spinosa, better known as Kamikaze. Using the giant squid as its base, our squiddy survivor combines the best traits of the jumbo Humboldt squid, blue ring octopus, the bioluminescent bobtail squid, axolotl, and the crown of thorns starfish. Reviewing these, something feels familiar. Giant squid, blue ring octopus, Humboldt squid? Wait.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Oh, how nice. Anyways, back to it. For this analysis, Kamikaze comes equipped with 10 crushing arms, a venomous bite, spiny defenses, and a few other tricks up its sleeve. Cruising through the Twilight Zone at between 20 to 25 miles an hour, its 10 arms lunge and grasp at prey, each tentacle lined with sticky suckers and sharp barbs, bringing them closer to the mouth. There, the beak will crush through armor and deliver a dose of venom courtesy of the blue-ringed octopus, often stated to have a venom numerous times stronger than cyanide that can drop numerous men in mere minutes. Kamikaze's venom will cause symptoms such as numbness, muscle paralysis, and even respiratory failure. Of course, venom isn't just for offense. Defensively, Kamikaze is equipped with numerous spines across its body, courtesy of the next species, the crown of thorns. These coral-munching pin cushions are loaded with hundreds of these spines, known to cause pain when embedded into the skin. As Kamikaze is covered in these spines, it will be difficult for any creature to make contact with him, while also providing a more solid and rigid defense across his soft body. Though even with adaptations like these, designed to face a creature like Vex, it may not be enough. You need something different, an edge, that might give you the advantage or save your life, such as bioluminescent ink and regeneration, courtesy of the bobtail squid and the axolotl. Using the light-producing bacteria of the bobtail squid, Kamikaze can release a cloud of ink not only as a defense to escape a predator or opponent, but in the deep dark of the Twilight Zone, these clouds of bioluminescence would also serve as a great distraction. Finally, the regeneration from both the axolotl and the starfish will let Kamikaze cheat death, regenerating any lost limbs at an enhanced rate, and even regenerating an entirely new creature from a small fragment of its flesh, if the worst does come. Obviously, this regeneration isn't fast enough to heal Kamikaze's wounds in the middle of a fight like some kind of squiddy Wolverine. It'll take a lot to keep Kamikaze down, always rising back up, ready to complete his task.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Alright, time to talk about the objectively best hybrid in this entire war.
Why you calling me? I'm right!
Imperateuthis crystallis, better known as Pike, grown in our very own little clinic. Having already made his home in the Bay of Bengal, Pike cruises in at between 20 to 25 miles an hour, coming in at 32 feet long, weighing 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. Comprised of only the best components, taken from the giant squid, Humboldt squid, glass squid, mimic octopus, blue ring octopus, hagfish, limpet, and the manta ray. The perfect genetic cocktail to ensure the crystal archfiend dominates his new territory. Part trickster, part assassin, Pike comes armed with an armor-piercing beak and 10 barbed tentacles. His weapons bolstered with the durable properties of the limpet, all while the paralyzing venom of the blue ring octopus suffocates its prey. Giant eyes alongside chemical and electroreceptors feed a network of environmental information into Pike, ensuring he is always aware of his environment and his foe's next move. While Pike has full awareness of his opponent's movements, they in turn will struggle to find him, being a master of camouflage and stealth. Whether it's blending into the open ocean with a nearly translucent body, or matching the rocky textures of the shelf and sea floor, there is nowhere Pike can't hide, and nowhere Pike can't get you. Even Pike's form is a deception. As with the impersonations of the mimic octopus, Pike can manipulate his body to take on a number of forms, confusing the senses of even the smartest creatures as they search for this faceless killer. Of course, such tactics wouldn't be possible without having one of the most brilliant minds in all the seas, capable of analyzing, learning, and evolving throughout a fight, thinking ahead, making plans, and even able to coordinate with others, as this water's new emperor must. Finally, in the rare case that Pike does get caught, he has a few more tricks to ensure he lives to rule another day. Assuming Pike can't outmaneuver his foe with powerful jets of his siphon for precise evasive maneuvers, a large smokescreen of squidding can be deployed, blinding and disgusting a foe. If this fails and he's grabbed, sea slime, courtesy of the hagfish, can be deployed in under half a second from across his body, coating the assailant's mouth, weaponry, and even gills and other respiratory structures, as the water around fills with massive quantities of this viscous goo, allowing Pike to escape or set up a counterattack. In conclusion, Pike is the perfect hybrid for the Bay. While others fight and squabble in these waters, Pike rules, his eye ever watching over his new kingdom. Alright, I think I've shown enough favoritism towards my own creation now. Let's see if he dies fighting the others, shall we? After much of my own personal deliberations, analysis, and some very enthusiastic debate among the kindred, these are the results that we have determined. Let's start with... Yeah, we're starting off with a rough one here. While Hydractis has effectively no fighting ability and has invested its entire being into being an untouchable venomous stage hazard, the fact that it does its job so well, coupled with Pike lacking the tools to deal with such a creature, and our squid is unfortunately left with few options.
I like it good, G.
While Pike should have some immunities to venom due to his own venom production, it's unlikely that he could withstand even a small amount of the life-ending cocktail within this biohazard of a jellyfish. Things only get worse, though. As a creature that relies on grappling and delivering a venomous bite to finish the kill, it'll be almost impossible for Pike to not make contact, Even avoiding the tentacles isn't a solution, as the bell and the rest of Hydraactis can still deliver its venom, making it practically untouchable. Hydraactis also lacks any critical weak points due to its rather simple biology, meaning there's no spot that Pyke can attack to end the fight quickly. All he'll have to do is gradually wear through the mound of flesh, constantly being stung through the process. Now, I don't want to give the impression that Pyke is completely helpless in this situation. He does have some strengths that come into play. He is more than fast enough to run circles around this drifting depth charge, coupled with the sensors and massive eye, and he should have no trouble spotting Hydraactis, as well as the numerous tentacles floating through the water. Though his tentacles themselves are not armored, a thin layer of hagfish sea slime could provide some moderate protection against a drifting strand of tentacles, preventing them from making full contact with him. And of course, his most obvious advantage, he has a brain. Shocking, I know. With Hydraactis' only true means of approaching a fight through his basic eyes, it's unlikely he could even find Pyke if he was cloaked in the sea or hiding among a reef. And Pyke would be far too smart to try and approach a creature like this, being able to recognize pretty early on the danger he would be in and how there's little threat to its presence. Realistically, this would be no contest, as I doubt a fight would ever even happen. The only true method I could see Pyke utilizing to actually damage Hydraactis without immediately falling prey to its tentacles would be to use the barbs on the end of its tentacles in a sort of slashing and slapping motion, tearing away at Hydraactis' soft body one swipe at a time. This is unrealistic, for at least two reasons. One, squid arms don't work like that. They're designed for grappling, not really bludgeoning or slashing, so the process of tearing apart this giant jellyfish would take hours. Second reason, assuming Pyke does manage to tear apart Hydraactis without falling to his venom, thousands of pieces of Hydraactis would remain intact, floating in the water, each able to rejuvenate into a new creature if given the time. If Pyke were to go on holiday, he would come back to a bloom of Hydraactis jellyfish, their tentacles coating the sea for miles on end. With low difficulty, Hydraactis wins this round. For round 2, Pyke takes on Vlad in a drastic change of gears from his last fight with Hydraactis, going from stunning, venomous defenses to a blistering offensive assault. Funny thing is, during my analysis, I came to a realization that in this contest of hybrids all designed to take on and defeat Vex, Vlad may actually be the most similar to Vex in this case, serving as a somewhat unintentional handicap. But make no mistake, Vlad is an absolute monster, with likely some of the highest damage output of any creature in this contest, or even in the bay. If caught off guard, Pyke could easily be crushed between his teeth, skewered on his sword-like nose, or even bludgeoned with a charge from his massive bulk, ending the fight in mere seconds off of just one hit. However, I believe the tricks and special abilities Pyke has for his battle with Vex will be the reason he comes out on top over Vlad. Let me explain. While both Vex and Vlad share a similar combat style of rushing in with high bursts of speed, open jaws, and ramming bulk, where Vlad surpasses Vex in terms of size, strength, and speed, he lacks in intelligence, abilities, and special senses. As a result, Pyke's various tools, such as his hagfish slime, squid ink, camouflage, and mimicry, will be even more effective against Vlad. This will open up more opportunities to grab Vlad while he's unaware and deliver the venomous bite. Combined with Vlad's size and lack of limbs to shake Pyke off, Pyke will have plenty of time to carve through those arapaima scales and blubber with the reinforced beak. While high-speed fish hunters in Vlad's genome, such as the marlin, are known for their excellent eyesight, a lack of sonar or other senses means that Vlad will have to hunt for Pyke in the open water or along the coast, struggling even more if Pyke stays within the deep waters away from Vlad's normal range. Ultimately, I think this would be a rather fast battle, determined by who could get the jump on the other and who could land the first blow. While Vlad is a dangerous beast of a fish, with Pyke's tricks, stealth, and greater intelligence, I believe Pyke will get the chance more often than not, sending this sea-skewering giant to a watery grave. Round 3. Pyke takes on Scylla, the terrible tasing titan of the deep. Squid versus squid, shell versus no shell, an assassin's poison blade versus an electrified bruiser. This matchup I find quite fascinating. To start, both Pike and Scylla have excellent senses, including electroreception. While Pike's stealth is still superior thanks to their ability to camouflage and change their form, neither combatant can truly hide from the other, as their electrical signals would always be present. Both creatures are also rather intelligent, preferring to analyze their opponent rather than rushing into a fight, so I can imagine both would match up in a sort of standoff, watching each other to see who makes the first move. In a direct engagement, Scylla would likely have the edge, due to superior size and strength, not to mention the toxins lacing her tentacles, which would be difficult for Pike to avoid. If caught, Pike could rely on a smokescreen, or releasing a large amount of sea slime to break the grip. The slime especially would be useful, as it may limit Scylla's tentacles from making direct contact, reducing their ability to sting, as well as preventing the enzyme-enhanced grip of the suckers from fully securing themselves to Pike. However, none of that matters if Pike can't deal with Scylla's most dangerous tool, electricity. With their range, area of effect, and Scylla's intelligence, Pike would struggle to get within range without risking a fatal shock. Even if the shock itself wasn't fatal, Pike's senses would be completely fried, leaving him unable to defend himself as Scylla moves in for the finishing blow. This is a difficult match. However, Pike does have a few ways he can win. While both hybrids have the ability to sense each other, only one can properly hide and set up an ambush. Scylla's large shell and bioluminescent displays would make her much easier to see. While electroreception would be good for detecting the presence of another creature, it would struggle to determine finer details, such as shape, color, and form, meaning it's not impossible that Scylla could fall for the various tricks of Pike's shape-shifting and color changing, making it more likely that Pike would be able to engage in an ambush, or at the very least strike the first blow. If successful, Pike could swoop in and land a killing blow on Scylla's main body, before it even has the chance to retaliate with its electricity.
I hear a hunter.
Or at the very least, causing it to misfire as a defensive reaction. Afterwards, similar to the electric eel, Scylla would need time to regenerate the electricity before it can launch another charge. Pike's greater speed and agility would be key to this, his larger opponent weighed down by their large, straight-coned shell. Speaking of the shell, let's talk about that. Scylla's durable shell is reinforced with the properties of the limpet, the same thing that Pike uses to reinforce the power of his beak and barbed hooks. While the shell near the base would likely be too wide and flat for Pike to get his beak around, the thinner, more narrow end further down the shell would be easier to latch onto, and therefore easier to break. This would be trouble for Scylla for several reasons. First, Pike would essentially be within Scylla's blind spot, forcing Scylla to raise her tentacles behind her own head just to reach Pike, which would be awkward at best. Second, Scylla risks electrifying herself if she attempts to shock Pike while he's attached to her shell. Though she is adapted to withstand her own electrical shocks, the electrical organs in her tentacles were deliberately designed to be kept away from her body for that very purpose, making a shock that close to her shell risky. Finally, and most importantly, if Pike manages to breach or puncture the shell, Scylla's buoyancy will be completely ruined, causing her to sink. While this wouldn't prevent her from swimming or continuing the fight, it would make things more difficult as she has to constantly force herself to swim upwards, affecting her stamina and aim, making it easier for Pike to land a successful blow. This was a close fight. However, after much debate, I have decided that with high difficulty, Scylla is more likely to win this match. While both combatants have the means to take each other down, Scylla's electricity is a more reliable win condition, as opposed to Pike's ambushes. While both could finish the match in one move, if the fight drags on, Scylla is tough enough to endure, learning Pike's tricks and negating his advantages, ultimately tipping the fight into her favor. In our fourth and final match, Pike takes on Kamikaze. Out of all the hybrids in this list, these two are definitely the most similar in design, form, and even fighting style. since both share a common arsenal and set of tools. The devil will be in the details to determine a victor. Kamikaze's most distinguishing traits in this fight would be its spiny poisonous armor and its bioluminescent squid ink, starting with the spines. This layer of pain-inducing spines would provide a moderate defense for Kamikaze, beyond what the giant squid's normally very soft body is capable of, while also deterring Pyke from going for a full-on grapple to avoid getting pricked. However, with Pyke's reinforced beak, it's unlikely they would actually be able to stop the attack from reaching Kamikaze's flesh. While the painful stings of these spines would be an annoyance, they're not quite on the same untouchable level as other hybrids such as Hydractis or Scylla. These spines may also have another drawback. As compared to Pyke, Kamikaze would be much easier to spot, and maybe even slightly slower. As these spines are all across Kamikaze's body, they'll likely add at least some drag, potentially making Kamikaze slightly slower than its giant squid base would suggest, giving Pyke a slight agility advantage. Regarding stealth, Pyke would also have the advantage, as Kamikaze's bright colors and spines would mean he would have a hard time hiding from Pyke, whose superior senses and greater stealth would make an ambush much more likely, potentially ending the fight in one swift strike. The glowing ink could be a nifty distraction, as well as a valid escape plan if Kamikaze is grabbed. However, with Pyke's intelligence, it's difficult to say if he would even fall for such a trick, possibly ignoring it altogether, similar to how Vex did. And of course, if Pyke was distracted by the ink, his chemical and electroreceptors would also serve to keep Pyke aware of his surroundings, making it harder for Kamikaze to take advantage of the opportunity. Ultimately, as this fight went on, Pyke not only had the tools to overcome Kamikaze's strengths, but was also able to match the other squid in most categories. For example, both have sharp beaks delivering a venomous bite using the exact same venom as the other. However, Pyke's reinforced beak was capable of getting through Kamikaze's major defense. Both are incredibly intelligent animals, but Pyke's mimicry, color changing, and stealth gave him more opportunities to use that intelligence. Both can use squid ink to get out of a sticky situation, but only Pyke has hagfish slime as well. Even Kamikaze's regeneration and potential immortality isn't as guaranteed, as unlike the case of Hydractis where he was practically untouchable, Kamikaze would be much easier to eat and dispose of afterwards, leaving less behind for him to return from. While Kamikaze was a tenacious fighter who could face Pyke on equal footing, Pyke's key differences ultimately proved to be his greatest strengths, securing a win in the final round. And there you have it. After facing off against some of the most formidable creatures released in the Bay of Bengal, Pyke has come out with a record of 2-2. Results are satisfactory, though not entirely surprising. With a creature as specialized as Pyke for defeating the likes of Vex, it was only natural that he might struggle when forced to diverge from his original target, forced to face tactics and weaponry he was never designed to deal with. While his results against his original target, Vex, remain inconclusive, I can say with certainty that Pyke stands amongst the other hybrids released in the Bay, a worthy contender versus the creations of some of the greatest minds across the planet. But what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Did I overlook a crucial detail? Let me know in a comment down below. A few closing thoughts before I wrap up this video. As you may be able to guess, this video is sort of a continuation of my original video regarding Pyke and his release into the Bay of Bengal to face against Vex. While I had not planned for a continuation, I was inspired not only by the various hybrids that the community created, but also by the words of Goji Guy, the very man who started the Great Waterhybridwar, and his encouragement for the community to not only challenge Vex, but to face off against other hybrids and see how they do. While everyone was busy creating a creature designed to face off against Vex, the aftermath of those creatures encountering each other in the bay was a fascinating prospect to me. Naturally, Cheese Chant's Vlad and Bakula's Hydractis were obvious picks for this case, as they were the two highlighted creatures in Goji Guy's Bay of Bengal event, with Sila and Kamikaze simply being amongst my favorite hybrids to come out of this area, though my squid bias might be speaking a bit on that. Since the beginning of these hybrid wars, I have thoroughly enjoyed witnessing the creativity and the content to come out of this community. To the creators of all of these creatures and the various people that watch this video, I wish to thank you for your contributions and hope to make this video sort of a tribute to the great hybrid water war itself. Though I couldn't go into detail about everything, I hope every creature was given its due respect as both remarkable fighters and thoroughly entertaining, beautiful creatures designed with care and passion. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have much more research to conduct. Numerous experiments and simulations with each of these creatures, gradually introducing more... Oh, one moment. Yes? Excellent. Then the containment is ahead of schedule. Begin the process of... What? A breach. Very well. Begin recovery protocols. But answer me this. Where are they now? One last message before this video ends. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching my content. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe for more like this in the future. I also present to you a proposition. While I have many other ideas in the works, if this video can reach 100 likes, I will begin production on a fully narrated 5-way battle between all the hybrids in this video. A special thanks to Cheese Chad 2, Bacula, Zane Reborn 2, and the Creature Archives for their amazing creatures. Without their designs and inspiration, this video would never happen. Links to their channels will be in the description below. Stay tuned for more in the near future, but for now, this is Dreadmir, signing off.